On the show in Wheelspin, we drive the electric car Mahindra E2O. On the track, we take a look as Tata Motors get into truck racing. And on the road, we drive the Mercedes E250 from Kochi to Munnar. What I have with me today has been dubbed by its maker as the future of mobility, which means that the manufacturer certainly hopes to see many more of this on Indian roads in the near future. But what I'm going to now tell you is going to surprise you. This car uses no fossil fuel, that is no petrol or diesel, or for that matter, no CNG or LPG either. No, it doesn't use pedal power either. This is an electric car. This is called the Mahindra E2O, and initially it was called the Reva. You might have seen a few of these on Indian roads, but why we have it on the show today is to see how usable it is really on an everyday basis. The Reva was born in the early 2000s as a dream of a young entrepreneur, Chetan Maini, who dreamed of going green and introducing a car with zero emissions, zero noise that would run without using fossil fuel. Consequently, Maini set up a manufacturing facility in what was then called Bangalore to manufacture electric cars, and the car was called Reva. If you failed to get impressed with the earlier Reva, then I suggest it's time you have a look at this new E2O. It certainly has evolved as a car. The design is much more complete. It's still short and compact, but the interiors are spacious, and it now comes with features like air conditioning, which is a very useful one, and it works pretty well, a sound system, and even features like parking camera and hill hold, a feature which is not there in most of the cars in this segment, and it's a very useful one because it prevents the car from rolling back on a gradient. Although the concept of an electric car was new and even attractive to many, but still it had limited success as the car fell short of being a complete car, in the sense that it didn't have many basic features with little space both for passenger and the luggage, and the pricing was far from attractive. But in 2010, utility vehicle manufacturer Mahindra and Mahindra acquired it, sensing future potential, and invested substantially to improve the car. The result is obvious. If you step into the E2O, you will be hard put to tell the difference between this car and any other car. It has all the features that you might need for everyday use, plus it has plenty of space with enough headroom, and it also has two rear seats. Okay, slightly cramped in the back, but then two additional seats are two additional seats. And the boot too has enough space for luggage. So overall, this is a car which is pretty much complete, and it looks well made too. Talk about technology and you really see some clever use of it. A smartphone here is paired to the system here, which means that using this smartphone, you can actually unlock the car from a distance, you can turn on the ignition, you can even switch on the AC, and of course you can access the GPS. It's really smart. Driving the Reva is like driving any other car, except that it emits no sound at all. It can be a bit unnerving, especially if you are used to driving a fossil fuel car. But other than that, there's hardly any difference. On a full charge of battery, this E2O can run up to about 100 kilometers, which means that if you are in the heart of Delhi like I am here in Rajpath, I can make a trip to the suburbs like Noida about 2.5 times before I run out of charge. And there is a magic gizmo too. It's called the E-Revive. In case you run out of charge, you can activate this, and this will extract the reserve power from the battery, which will ensure that you can still drive some more distance. It's like being in the reserve. A full charge of the E2O takes about 5 hours and gives you a travel distance of 100 kilometers. The E2O uses a set of onboard lithium batteries to power the car through an induction motor. It generates about 53 Newton meters of torque, and the car just weighs about 830 kgs. The E2O can cruise at about speeds of 80 kilometers, which is pretty much the speed limit in most parts of the country, and the engine is paired to a gearbox which is automatic and really easy to drive. The gearbox has this boost mode, which is pretty much the equivalent of a sports mode in many other top-end sports cars. If you need more power, you just shift to the boost and you get that extra dose of energy. In terms of ride and handling, there is not much to complain about. The E2O feels quite planted and the ride is quite stable. I would have preferred a slightly softer suspension setup because this is rather hard and all the bumps and potholes filter into the cabin, especially if you are in the rear seat. The instrumentation is quite nice, quite easy to read, and it gives you all the basic information. In fact, it tells me the state of the charge and also distance to empty. The only limitation of driving and owning an electric car is long distance travel. To give you an example, if you were to drive 200 kilometers, it will take 2 full recharge cycles. Plus, with a top speed of around 80 kilometers per hour, the travel time would come to about 20 hours. And that, I think, will require a bit of patience. This is how you refuel, or rather, recharge the E2O. This is the cable here, one end of which goes into the car and the other into a regular 15 ampere socket. Pretty easy stuff, you might say, but actually it's not so easy for the simple reason that there are not enough charging docks in public places. And unless that happens, both the future and the use of electric cars will be limited. The big question is the E2O a complete and a viable car for everyday use? After having spent some time with her, I can say yes, it is. She is small and compact, which makes it very easy to drive and park in crowded city conditions, and she comes loaded with all the basic features. And unless, of course, you happen to be an aspiring rally car driver, you will find her quite drivable. And on top of all this, she is quite cheap to run. The only cost that you will incur eventually is the cost of battery replacement, which will probably happen after 4 years or so. Till then, you can run her cheap and wherever you want, but within the city limits. One thing I'm really proud of is the fact that even though India is an underdog in terms of automotive technology, but even then we managed to put on road an electric car about a decade back, thanks mainly to the dream of one man and now a large corporate who has stepped in with the investment and the vision. And the result is this E2O, an electric car which is just as good as any other electric car that I have driven in any other part of the world. So if you are in the market looking for a small hatch, do have a look at this one. This is a car which is usable on an everyday basis. The E2O starts from rupees 4.82 lakhs and is available in 3 variants, with the top trim costing rupees 5.99 lakhs. And the good part is that it requires servicing only once a year, so you save on the service cost as well. And there are enough diagnostics on board to warn you in case of anything going wrong. So we feel it's time you take a look at the electric car to meet your mobility needs.
There's a new kind of racing that's going to start in India courtesy Tata Motors. Now I know what you're thinking, and we're not talking about cars, but trucks. Tata is bringing this sport to India in an attempt to showcase the technological advancements through performance excellence. Honestly, I really don't care too much about the reason why they're doing it, but I'm just glad that they're doing it. This is the T1 Prima Truck Racing Championship, where Tata Prima trucks, which have been heavily modified for racing, will take part in this single-make championship. These trucks have been modified under guidelines from the British Truck Racing Association. 22 key modifications were made to make these trucks comply to a mix of safety and performance needs for truck racing. Repositioning of the fuel tank, steering wheel with a quick release mechanism, racing tires, improved brakes with water jet cooling mechanism, FIA approved racing seats with 5-point harness are some of the additions that have been made to these machines to go racing. Let's take a look at the specifications of this racing truck. 370 brake horsepower, 8-speed gearbox, at a top speed that's electronically limited to about 110 km per hour. Now, I've driven cars that develop more brake horsepower than this particular racing truck, and I'm sure that most of us have gone faster than what the top speed of this truck is limited to. So how exciting can it be? Let's just take a look. The first impression that you get is one of excitement. The cabin is totally stripped out except for the bare essentials, and you have this massive roll cage dominating over your head, and one sits so high up in this cabin that it's actually a little unnerving. Well, enough of the talk, let's try and hit the pedal to the metal. We're actually racing on the shorter course, not the full course of the BIC. And this has got a few more twists and turns and things like that, which makes for things to be a little more exciting, and you literally have to hang on because of the body roll that's there in this particular truck. Well, you're not really going that fast, but what is exciting is because of all the wind buffeting, because of the sheer size of this huge truck, everything becomes very, very exciting. And the more of them on the track, I think it's going to be a lot more fun! The T1 Truck Racing Championship will have 6 different teams running 2 trucks each. That means 12 of these racing trucks will be competing to claim the maiden championship title. International drivers who are regulars in the British Truck Racing Championship and European Truck Racing Championship will be piloting these machines and gunning for glory in this inaugural race. The first ever truck race is scheduled for 23rd of March 2014 at the Buddh International Circuit, in which there will be 2 races. The first race will be the qualifying session, followed by the main race, which will last for 15 laps. Whatever you say, truck racing does have a bit of curiosity factor going for it, and I'm sure there are people eager to see these giants rubbing shoulders and fighting for supremacy on the tarmac.
The 3.5-hour flight from Delhi to Kochi was a drag, as most flights are, but finding a Mercedes E250 waiting for me at the airport was like being upgraded to business class without any fuss. My lucky day. This Mercedes E-Class is really a nice car. Indeed is. Over 200 brake horsepower, nearly 500 Newton meters of torque, and a diesel engine which seems very distant and quiet thanks to the superb insulation, but comes alive at the slightest tap of the pedal. And it's diesel. I like the business of diesel. It helps me save a few hundred rupees every time I hit the highway. I'm very much of an Indian. Even if I drive a Mercedes, I still ask the question, "Kitna deti hai?" I haven't yet told you where I'm off to, have I? It's a place which is about 160 kilometers and 4 hours away from Kochi. It's a place where they grow a lot of tea. I'm not much into drinking tea, but I'm told it's a lovely place, lush green with rolling hills. It's a place called Munnar. After wandering around in the city of Kochi for a while, I finally find my way out of there, and now I am on my way to Munnar. Strangely, there are not too many road signs in the city of Kochi which will tell you how to get to Munnar. And that's strange considering the fact that Munnar is an important tourist destination. To do this And to get out of the town, I had to solely depend on my skills in the local language. And since I have almost zero skills in that direction, it took me a bit of time. Munar,
Kumar,
straight.
2 kilometer rights.
Thank you. You know, the great thing about a name is that no matter what language you speak in, it still sounds the same, barring a few accents. And even if I have no skills in the local language, I'm still able to say Munar and people pointing me in the right direction, hopefully right direction. I call it local GPRS. Driving in Kerala is just like driving in Kerala. The road is narrow, single lane and full of traffic. Just when you begin to hope that you will find an open stretch of road, another village just starts. So this remains nothing but a hope. And that's a pity, especially when you are at the wheels of something as nice as I am today, the E250 CDI Mercedes E-Class. The car is itching to go and so am I. Driving this Mercedes E250 CDI is really easy. Plenty of power on call, automatic transmission, and all the frills you can think of. In terms of creature comfort, this car doesn't lack really anything much. And to top it all, the thing that comes in most handy on drives like this, the audio system. It sounds like what all audio systems should sound like, crystal clear. In spite of the narrow roads and somewhat congested traffic, it's still a pleasant experience driving through Kerala simply because what you see when you gaze outside is very pleasant. It's a sea of green, numerous water bodies and the swaying palm trees. It's almost picture perfect. Munnar is a town in the southwestern state of Kerala.